As a member of men's support group, I have observed that more and more guys are struggling with breakups. There are guys who are completely clueless when it comes to this. And I am not saying this as a judgment, because I have been myself in a similar place in past. For these guys, it's like separation happened out of nowhere, unexpectedly, and well, they may feel betrayed, they may feel angry, frustrated, and they feel like they were not warned before in advance. They were not given hints that this is going to happen. And when this sudden, unexpected breakup happens, a lot of guys assume that either their ex-partner planned this all along, or she must be cheating. They assume that she must be cheating. That's why she left. Another thing that happens with these guys is when a woman leaves, they feel completely broken, emotionally, mentally, also physically. And their whole life has crumbled, and also their sense of self completely shattered. They often feel like part of them has been ripped out, and now they feel completely lost in life. They are confused about their direction in life. They don't know what to do next. They are overwhelmed, depressed. While cheating definitely can be reason in certain amount of situations while a woman has left, that's not always the case. And guys might be missing things in their own behavior that is also contributing to the breakup. So let's look at a few of these now. The first thing is unconscious projections that stem from past trauma. We humans are hardwired to protect ourselves from pain, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional or mental. And one of the ways how we can protect ourselves from feeling negative emotions that we are not ready to deal with is either by projecting them or deflecting them onto someone else. We could be projecting our anger, insecurity, frustration, fear, or something else onto others. So we remove ourselves from feeling them, and also from blame and embarrassment that we may be associating with them. We perceive them as personal flaws, something that we have to avoid at all costs. So when we project our unwanted and suppressed emotion, the blame shifts from ourselves to the person that we are projecting it onto. And this is a defense mechanism of ego, because admitting your own flaws and negative traits hurts the ego. We don't want to feel shame. We don't want to experience feeling rejected by ourselves and also others. Instead, it's more comforting to think or perceive that we were not the reason why the other person left. Projecting allows us to maintain our narrative that we are the good guy, or we are the victim. And projecting can also be used unconsciously to maintain the relationship by avoiding confrontations of addressing the issues in the relationship, and instead assigning our own negative traits and feelings onto our partner. In practice, projections might look like assumptions or judgmental accusations about what someone else may be thinking or feeling. And these accusations reflect the emotions that the accuser is not willing to address himself. Obviously, our own projections can be very harmful to our own personal growth and self-development, because they can prevent us from developing deep, meaningful, loving relationships with ourselves, with others, developing intimacy and rich connections with others. Basically, by projecting our own unresolved negative stuff onto others, we are not taking responsibility for our own healing and growth, but we shift blame from ourselves to the others, to the external source, victim mode. And then, how then we can expect to form a solid, deep, meaningful connections when this is happening? We cannot, because we are not able from our side to form the connections, and other people can also not do that with us, because we are not being honest with ourselves and authentic with ourselves and vulnerable enough with ourselves. So basically, other people are forming this kind of artificial relationship, not with the real us, but version of us that has suppressed multiple unwanted other parts of us. And then we may feel misunderstood, but we have created this situation ourselves, because the other person cannot meet the real us, because we are preventing the real us from showing up, from expressing. Instead, we use these our own projections that distorts this interaction with other people. So in order to stop projecting, we need to develop awareness and act on it. We need to identify what triggers us assuming or accusing or judging others. And when we identify these triggers, they will indicate areas of life where we may be projecting. Knowing our triggers helps us to reveal the root cause of our projections, and exploring our wounds and insecurities is very important. That includes our unmet needs. So this job is very important for us to do. Second thing that might be ruining our relationship as men is unhealthy emotional attachment. Now, if we rely too much on the relationship to meet our emotional needs, that's an unhealthy emotional attachment. Ideally, we want to find a balance so that we are able to meet our emotional needs by ourselves and by others, by our partner. So that's a healthy balance. That's a healthy attachment. If we purely rely on the relationship to meet our emotional needs, this relationship is going to become stagnant, fearful, toxic, and even destructive. These type of relationships are very harmful for our own self-development, and we are basically settling for a very harmful situation. We all have the need to emotionally bond with others and connect with others. But if this need starts to become too obsessive and direct us from abandoning our own self-worth, peace, and freedom of choice, then this becomes a very toxic and unhealthy attachment. It's like insecure attachment. Unhealthy emotional attachment is when we rely on relationship to define our worth, our value, our lovability, and even heavily defines our identity. So what can we do about this if we have unhealthy emotional attachment? Again, there are people who are able to support us and fix our insecure attachment to secure attachment. And we also need to find ways or someone who can help us to build relationship with ourselves, build up and help us to explore our deepest core values, principles, interests that are important for us. The third thing that can contribute to the breakup is lack of consistent, healthy masculine expression from us men. That includes masculine containment, that includes us men stepping into our purpose in this life. Now, this lack can lead to trust issues, respect issues coming from a woman. It can interfere with polarities, and it can also affect man's attraction. For us men, it is very important to have a solid foundations of life. We need to have certain principles. We need to have vision that guides us every day. And we have a direction, clear direction, and we know where we are headed. Discovering these and crafting are very important. And they become foundations of our life. So we do them whether we are single or whether we are with someone else in a relationship, because this vision of ourselves, how we want to contribute to this world to make it better, these guiding principles and core values, those are very important, that will determine how we show up as men in this life. The last and fourth thing that I want to talk about that can contribute to breakup is underestimating the small things and their impact in relationships. Usually things just don't appear suddenly out of nowhere. They tend to accumulate and grow over time, bigger and bigger and bigger. And if we refuse or we are unaware of these initial and growing signals, it's going to grow even bigger to the point that we won't be able to ignore or miss it anymore. And we as men, from time to time, we may fall guilty of not taking certain things seriously or considering them insignificant, because that's from our logical brain. But for our female counterparts, that's a complete different story for their emotional brain. And this so-called small thing can eventually create bigger and bigger rupture in the relationship until it reaches point of no return. And then what happens is a volcano erupts and woman leaves. Women in general are more attuned to all the details and different surroundings, and they're usually more sensitive to men. So men may overlook or underestimate some things and not being even aware of them. But for women, they see all these different small things that are not separated one from another. So it's kind of holistic or integral way of perceiving things. So for them, it might be like if we are missing this one thing, then that can lead to another, and then it can like create this domino effect, and yeah, that can lead to distrust issues, of course, not feeling safe anymore. After breakup, when certain amount of time has passed and we have become less and less emotionally attached to that situation, we can now start to perceive this situation and breakup and relationship in a more neutral way, because there is less need for us to protect our side of story or need to be right, need to maintain our good image of ourselves. That's all coming from insecure ego. So over time, we're given opportunity retrospectively to look at ourselves more honestly. And we might start to acknowledge things that we previously disqualified unconsciously as a way to not trigger our own personal pain. So now we might start to remember some details, and other bits of information may come back, and what previously maybe didn't make sense now makes more sense to us. And now we can see this bigger picture, how it all escalated. As we review our past and we're willing to learn from the mistakes, our awareness grows and we become more and more better equipped for the future to not repeat the same mistakes and the same patterns, because we can now clearly see what happened in the past. So addressing our own wounds is very important. Healing work, shifting into more healthy version of ourselves, future version. Because when we are in relationship, we might not be aware that we are actually hurting our partner, and that usually becomes of our unconscious wounds that gets triggered, and it triggers a certain response, reaction of us. So these were 4 major reasons how men may ruin their relationships and contribute to the inevitable breakup. Let me know your thoughts about this topic, any feedback, and your experience is highly valued and appreciated. I'll see you in the next video.